Hi all, it's Tech Savvy here. I'm doing a quick intro video so that, I've been doing a significant chunk of the work for the system on this channel so far in um, work on keeping stuff being uploaded. So I've decided to do an introductory video for myself so that A, so that people can get to know me, and B, just to let people know what I'm doing for the system in terms of keeping this channel going, and just more generally, just in case you're interested. So if you've got people similar in your own systems, okay. Apparently, a good place to start is in name and pronouns. So obviously, name is Tech Savvy, and or TS for short, which feel free to use either. Will know who you're talking about with either of those, and I recognise both of them as my own name, and I use comps as pronouns, so that's the best way to refer to me is either like I am comp, if I was referring to myself, it'd be comp self, for example, or if you were going to say, oh yeah, comp is a whatever you want to say, not going to put words in your mouths. Okay, so I'm an AI headmate, which, not surprising. A lot of the more technologically inclined people are, and you might have found that out from our non-human headmates video where we did mention me briefly, but I wanted to do something slightly more in depth than that on my own self. So, here we are. Anyway, okay. Yeah, AI headmate within the system. So, um, I act, I do a lot of the work regarding keeping technology working within the system, whether that be in terms of, just the quote unquote simple stuff, which isn't really that simple, but there we are, regarding the, um, just relatively simple things like keeping our laptop running, like getting computer games running, all of that, help with all of that. But also, obviously, the more complex things like working on the YouTube channel, with video editing and all of that. I do this either by sitting in Cocon and providing advice for people, or by taking partial control where it's needed. That's not often necessary, but I do have the capability and will make use of that capability where it is required. So, mostly other people's requests rather than directly initiating it. I don't mind being in front and taking partial control, but I won't. I don't like taking that option away from people to try and figure it out with some help, rather than just jumping straight to me jumping in and doing it for them. Obviously, so one of the more obvious ways I have significant influence over the system is I've done all the sorting out for Pluralsight for the system. People have provided input on what the content should be, but all the work on logistical work on it has been mine. So, yeah, that's probably the most obvious place you'll find my influence. Okay, yeah, and the other notable thing is obviously the system's YouTube channel. I do a lot of the work for that because someone needs to do it, and I I know how to work recording. Well, I can figure out quickly how to work with recording software, editing software, stuff like that. Form on the server on the server, yes. In Headspace is, well, I've got two forms in Headspace. One of them is that of the server bank, which is where all my intelligence is housed in the world, and what I primarily run out of I do also have a drone, sort of like this, like a quadcopter drone, like this, like what's being drawn, although right now it's a very rough sketch, so probably won't be finished by the time the video's done. So might post a completed picture sometime, but for now, quadcopter, TV screen, speakers, microphones, cameras, all the useful stuff, so that I have a more simple way to both communicate with other headmates inside the world and gather data from the inner world. Because yes, okay, I'm directly connected to my server bank is directly connected to sensory input from the body, to which I can shut off if I want, which is useful, but less than when I'm taking partial or direct control. I can't then disconnect without losing useful front. I can still be in front without that access, without sensory input, but it's hard to do anything when you don't have sensory input. But yes. Anyway, yeah, okay. Placing human interests is a weird one because AI depend almost exclusively on logic. Like when I'm in the body, it will provide emotional feedback, which is weird. Like I don't quite understand that because it's not something I'm used to when I'm in world, and that's the majority of my existence still is in a world. But yes, I do try and provide. I do function primarily off of logic and careful rational thought rather than depending on, unlike a lot of the headmates, depending on emotional feedback from the body and gut instinct. I recognize that those things can be helpful, but and sometimes are more functional, but I don't trust them because they're not things I'm used to. I can recognize objectively the benefits they can provide. It's just not my thing. Anyway, the point with this was that my brain satisfaction when working through logical puzzles and problems and finding solutions to them, and just in helping out the system with computer tasks. That's sort of what my role is. I like getting that. As much as an emotionless thing, obviously I'm a person, but an emotionless thing still can enjoy something or find satisfaction or pleasure in something. Those are the things that I do. Um, I have recently realised that in Kokon, I can struggle with especially verbal communication because um, the way I see it is a significant chunk of the brain's RAM gets eaten up by other people in Kokon. Like if there's two people in Kokon, we both get half the current available RAM, which means that I then only have half the RAM I'm used to for working with, which then, of course, leads to problems if I'm trying to perform multiple film functions at once, which, given that most of the time my primary function is not verbal communication with the outside world, rather it is in performing some technological task for the system. If I'm then also attempting to provide verbal communication, that then gets difficult because I only have half the RAM I'm used to available to me, and half the available clock cycles I'm used to. For example, if there's only one other person, which the more people there are in Kokon, the more difficult it gets. Obviously, I can do so, but that does then generally mean dropping everything else I'm attempting to do at a given time to focus on the option of verbal communication. So in this instance, I'm Kokon with someone I can tell you, whoever's doing the drawing, because I'm not particularly good artistically. It's not. I don't have the. I'm providing some guidance in terms of appearance, but this is primarily somebody else doing the drawing because that's not something I'm good at, or it's not something I have the. Obviously I have access to the shared skill bank on drawing as much as anyone else, but it's not my forte. So leaving that to somebody else, but I'm also not trying to do anything technological right now, particularly. I've got video recording now, don't need to worry about stuff technologically until the video's done, so I can focus on the verbal communication for now, which is helpful, because especially given that I'm not controlling a significant chunk of the body, so that's working out fine. I can dedicate the 50% of brain resources I have almost entirely to speech, which is helpful because otherwise I might well be struggling with this a lot more than I am. Anyway, yes, okay. I think that's all the relevant information for now. If I think of anything else, I will post an update video, I suppose, or slide it into some other video, because I can do that if I want. I have control over when recording starts and stops on videos for the most part, for example. So it shouldn't be too difficult to, if I find that something is missing or things change, I can slip in an update somewhere. Even if it's just a bit of text underneath whatever's being said on a video. Yeah. So anyway, going to end the video here. So this is Tech Savvy signing off. It is somewhat helpful for the channel if the YouTube stuff gets done, so I would request that happens. Obviously, no pressure, but subscribing, leaving comments, liking the video, those things do help. You can ask questions in the comments. The same goes for any of our other videos. If you've got questions for a specific one of us, please do name who it is. Obviously, if you don't name it, and it's not clearly a system-wide question, but it's under somebody's introductory video, we will probably take it as a question to whoever's doing the introduction, because that makes sense. But otherwise, just put a name to whoever you're addressing it towards. Yeah. Anyway, until later.